Hey guys, Joe DeMarco from the Crazy New York Driver Show for Friday, February 28th, 2020. Welcome to another eBay video. Today we have a lot to discuss. Very important issues, so I'm going to warn you right now, the video may run a little longer than usual. We're going to discuss a return that was closed out, but not closed out. We're going to talk more about the eBay seller update, offers to watches, and a lot about your comments, questions, and concerns from the last 3 videos. First of all, as you can see, as I predicted in my last video, it is once again cloudy. We've had awful weather this week, with the exception of Sunday when I went out and I did my exploration video. It was sunny and 45 degrees, beautiful. But they're saying no sunny days predicted at all now. We're done. We're done with sun. So, the first group of comments I'm going to read will be from my video last Friday and from the video I made midweek about the bad eBay buyer, how he can really hurt you. So let's get started with those comments first. Charles Decker wrote, "There must be a road closed nearby and they're detouring traffic down your street. The traffic behind you was insane this time around." Charles, I am shocked that you are the only person to have noticed that. The thing is, I live 2 houses down from a major north-south roadway, a truck route. Anytime there's an accident or road construction, you are correct, they send the traffic down here. And that's what was going on when I made my video last week. 5797029, Mike wrote, "Business has been great for the past week. Auto parts are smoking hot." I agree with you, Mike. Rock Papa Man wrote, "I've had more issues with buyers in the last 2 months than I've had the entire 9 years prior. Fitchy must be in the water." That seems to be the general consensus, only I would say I've had more problems with buyers starting in 2019. 2019 is when I noticed it starting. Marie wrote a long comment which I've truncated. "Thanks, Joe. I had a repeat buyer use a quantity discount to purchase from me and got 15% off. Then in the PayPal comments after she paid, she noted, 'Please combine shipping and refund the difference. Thanks.'" No. Marie and everybody else, when a person commits to a deal, you are not obligated to refund anything. They are not allowed to change the terms and conditions of a sale. All negotiations must be done before the sale is made. Yo Man wrote, "eBay does not allow the buyer to change the quantity to more than 1 when you send an offer. Another oversight by eBay coders, probably offshore, non-American coders." Yes, their website can definitely use some upgrades in the coding department. Nicole Dorenzio wrote, "For me, it's when someone asks a question that is already answered in the listing. I include measurements on everything, whether it's clothing, collectibles, hard goods, always. So when someone asks, 'How tall is this mug?' or 'How long is this shirt?' it just makes me grind my teeth. I've experienced that too, and what I do is I write in, 'As it clearly says in the listing, this item is,' let's say for a 14-inch wheel. Elaney Weiser wrote, "Joe, as a buyer, I only canceled 1 sale. I bought a new item. Right after that, eBay sent me information of 3 of the same items at a lesser cost. I saved 30% off by canceling and going with the next item shown. I want you to know that I let the seller know within 5 minutes and asked them if they wanted to match the price first." eCurb replied with the following message, "I hope you learned your lesson, Elaney. From now on, do your own due diligence before costing sellers money by buying then canceling. Did you know that PayPal took 3% from that seller for your mistake?" eCurb basically is telling the truth. please always, guys, as a buyer, always do your homework first. If you do buy something and eBay shows it to you cheaper, which they really shouldn't, but they do, okay, you really should man up and pay for your purchase. That's my feeling too, because I always do, and you don't want to hurt your fellow sellers. Always do your homework first. Clutch Carson wrote in with a pretty interesting comment that I liked. A person in Maryland woke up this morning and at some point joined eBay. The buyer had zero feedback. The same person goes on eBay and sees a computer he wants to buy. Person buys the computer and decides 10 minutes later he does not want it anymore, or perhaps eBay showed him a lower price seller. Buyer asked to cancel the order. PayPal smiles because they just made $1. eBay leans back in its easy chair knowing they gave a buyer a lower price alternative and a great experience. Clutch Carson sees $1 fly out the window. Thanks to the advice of you, Joe, my buyer gets to wait until 11 p.m. on Tuesday to get his cancellation, which is 48 or more hours. His money is locked up. He gets to keep looking at the eBay screen to see if his money is back yet. And in a perfect world, due to his lack of funds, he cannot afford to buy that lower price computer. eBay has to allow us sellers the option to request that the buyers pay the PayPal fee if they wish to cancel an order. Keep it up, Joe. Can't wait to watch part 2 of your crazy buyer story. Clutch Carson, if you were here right now, I would buy you a drink. Because cancellations, I agree, are off the wall, especially when eBay is showing our competition's items cheaper price after the sale is consummated. That is on them. So that's what I'm doing too, as I told you in last week's video. I will definitely agree to cancel if the buyer asks within the first hour or so. But I'm not going to cancel within 5 minutes. They're going to wait a full 23 hours. Michael Dolany wrote, wow, just when you think a fishy buyer couldn't go any lower, it really makes you think if he didn't try and set you up, Joe. He makes a low offer where you go out of your way to accommodate him, and he doesn't do basic transaction correctly, so he doesn't end up paying. You then fix the problem and he buys the items. This is where it really sounds like the fix is in. I don't think he really cared that he needed a special bolt to install them, because if that was the case, he wouldn't have been so fast to neg you in the first place. Then when you called to have the bullcrap neg removed, he knew enough to check back with your feedback and counter your move with another neg for the item he didn't even pay for. That doesn't sound like your average fishy buyer. That sounds like the well-thought-out plan of an ass. Thanks for not waiting to share this experience. Michael, well said. I'm going to address that particular buyer a little later in the video because I'm going to couple that story with something else that happened, which is really interesting. One Dan wrote, please make more vids like this. While I hate that you had to deal with this kind of buyer, I like that you took the time to really go into detail like you have. Dennis Copper wrote, Joe needs to put a compressor limiter on his audio. When I know he's about to shout, I can see it in his eyes. I immediately lower the volume. Otherwise, my wife might say, who are you yelling at? Joe and I both have that New Jersey accent, but his is more Brooklyn, New York style. When he says the word for, it sounds like fur. I'm sure he drives the people that live down south of the USA crazy. They will say, what did he just say? Like when the movie Rocky came out in the 1970s. Okay, guys. Now I'm going to read the comments from the video I put out about the eBay Spring Seller Update 2020. Wooden Stuff with Steve French wrote, have you had an increase in unpaid items lately? I've had to open 9 unpaid item cases so far this month. It's ridiculous. No, I have not had that happen, Steve, because all my items are fixed price, immediate payment required. However, I honestly do feel if I was still doing auctions, I would have the same problem as you. Guys, for those of you like Steve who are experiencing this, think about doing fixed price, Immediate payment required. It's the best move I ever made. Daniel Scales wrote about some of the changes in the new seller update. The reason for extending the return window is eBay is losing too much money now with returns. What happens is a buyer is upset when he receives a message that the return is closed. Then the buyer calls and complains to the payment issuer, for example his credit card company, and the case is almost always decided in the buyer's favor, even though the buyer may not have shipped the item back. In this case, the seller is typically covered by eBay's seller protection policy and the money comes out of eBay's pocket. Nothing irrational here on eBay's part. As many of us know, returns are a plague of the e-commerce business. My advice is adjust your prices accordingly to account for the e-shoplifting losses. Daniel, I cannot adjust my prices because if I go too high, people will go to my competition. So in some cases, I'm actually trying to go lower than my competition. My returns this week have been high. Yes, I don't dispute that, but thankfully for the most part, my people always are honest and they say they bought the wrong size or it doesn't fit, and they're willing to pay the shipping back. So in that case, I really can't complain that much. I had several of those this week. I mean, I do complain to a point because I go through so much trouble to make my listings clear and concise and describe what size wheel the item fits, how many bolts are on the wheel, and nobody reads. But when they write to me and they ask for the return, they actually man up and say, "I'm sorry, I did not read the listing." Greta Love wrote, "What is wrong with eBay? Why do they reward irresponsible buyer behavior? Reminds me of ultra-liberal parents who keep thinking their troublesome kids are going to change by enabling their bad behavior and hoping year after year that their inherent goodness will one day just come out. My latest return, a guy waits 3 weeks to say shoes don't fit with my free return policy. I send him a nice email message saying he can return them no problem. He ignores my message. Now already maybe 6 days have passed since he opened the return, but per tracking, nothing has been shipped yet. People are so rude. They know we're little sellers, not big department stores." Shortly I'm going to tell you a story about an eBay return, which I think you guys will find very, very, very interesting. Get a Job wrote, "Wow, this return business just encourages the scams by illegal buyers. Looks like I will need to mark all my items as no returns accepted, as is for parts only. What in the world is eBay gaining by this?" Well, Get a Job, I got to tell you a couple of things. For the first time in many, many years, I am now listing certain items with no returns. That's what it's come to. There are certain items that I feel are dog items, or I feel that they're just difficult items. So in the listings, I am clearly putting, I am selling this item at a special liquidation price at a very reduced rate. I will not accept returns on this item for any reason, so please do all your homework before purchasing. I'm not doing this on a great amount of my items. I would say at most maybe 5% right now, but I'm starting it because that's what it's come to. Greg Coop wrote, "I really don't understand why eBay continues to tamper with and manipulate the return policy in favor of the buyer. It's bad enough we're losing money as a result of granting free returns. In exchange for perhaps a higher boost in search, now eBay wants to extend the duration period for where fidgety buyers can rent items they've purchased. Our only defense is it seems to expose such buyers and block them." Yes, if you do encounter somebody that's hurting you, like that guy I told about last week. Remember I told you about the guy who left me 2 negatives, one of the things he didn't even pay for? Those are people you definitely need to expose and block. A few people wrote in and said to me, "Joe, would you please tell us the buyer's user ID?" last Friday. And at that time I didn't, because the case was still ongoing. The return had not reached me yet. I'm going to tell you about that shortly. You're going to love that one. And the last comment I'm going to read before I get into new material is from Michael Dalney. Hey Joe, thanks for the surprise video. I bet the scammers are already licking their chops at the prospect of huge paydays as they take advantage of eBay's new policy of not requiring an unsatisfied buyer to return an item within 10 days. Big mistake on eBay's part and a headache for us sellers. Just another loophole for the scammers to exploit. Michael, I too am extremely disappointed about this new policy. I do believe buyers should send their item back within a certain time frame, and I think 10 days is plenty of time. All right? So yes, I'm very bummed out myself. I would like to clarify that eBay did not say they're going to make us wait the full 30 days. What they did say is we will no longer be able to call like we have been able to and get the case closed out after the return date. I'm very disappointed in that. Guys, before I begin the main topic of today's video, I need to stop and take my first drink from the Fox News Cup of Life. This is the Fox News Cup of Life. Happy is he who drinks from it. Very good. You may notice that as I held up the Fox News Cup of Life just now, a little peak of sun is showing through the clouds. This was not predicted. However, this does go to show you the power, the immense power that this Fox News Cup of Life wields. All right, guys, I warned you earlier that this was going to be a long video today, but I have a lot to cover and this stuff is important. First of all, on a minor subtopic, offers to watches. I'm telling you guys, I have noticed a very disturbing trend. I will send out approximately 15 offers to watches per day, and I'll get absolutely no results whatsoever. But occasionally, a watcher will respond with a counter offer, and I am very disturbed by what's going on. Here's an example of what happened the other day. Okay guys, I'm sure you heard at the very end of the video some joker started a chainsaw a few blocks away. When I made the video earlier, I heard the chainsaw, but I continued filming another 20 minutes of footage because I thought it would be okay. Hey, something just sold. But when I just went to edit the video now, the noise was unbearable. It was droning in my head and I just couldn't take it. And I didn't think it was right to subject you good people to that noise. Let me tell you something. When I was a little kid, I lived with my aunts under the L. If you've ever lived under the L, you know the noise the subway trains make. Nothing compares to this neighborhood with noise. I would rather live under the L. But let's get back to the video, and I want to finish talking about the following topics. Offers to watchers, the update on the buyer from hell from last week, a crazy return story that's going to probably affect everybody at some point, and eBay upfront last night in Florida. So first of all, offers to watches. I try and send out 15 offers to watches per day. Some people have really good success with this feature, some do not. I'm one of those people that does not. Periodically, watchers will then send me counter offers. So here's what happened again the other day, and this is a trend. I had an item that was $175 and $50 shipping because it was a heavy item. And I know if I'm shipping it to Texas or California, which is where a lot of my stuff goes, it's going to cost between $50 and $60 easily. So the item was $175 plus $50 shipping. I sent the offer to the watcher for $150 plus the $50 shipping. He sends me back a counter offer for $100. I go to respond to the offer, and of course I scroll down, and there are those two dreaded words, free shipping. He wants me to send, and he lives in Texas, this big heavy box of wire wheels with free shipping to Texas for $100. Let me tell you something. I smashed that decline button so fast. Guys, you do what works for you. But I humbly suggest that if somebody sends you a counter offer and they say free shipping, you smash that decline button. It's not going to work out. I don't mind dickering on the price of the item. I'm more than willing to do that. In fact, had he not put free shipping in there and just left it at $100, I might have been inclined to accept that offer. But that free shipping, those two words turn me off. Nope, not happening. Let me now tell you about an update from the buyer from hell from last week, because a lot of you guys asked about that. The reason I did not identify him last week or tell you anything about him was because the deal was still in flux. He had opened a return request, but he hadn't sent the items back yet. Consequently, the other day, which I believe was either Tuesday or Wednesday, was the deadline. He did not send the items back. So yesterday, Thursday, I called eBay Concierge and I said, I want to close this case out. He never sent the items back. So they took a look at the case and they said, no problem, Joe, we'll close it out for you right now. And they did. Easy as pie. This is very important because, like I told you about the spring seller update, starting April 1st, we sellers will no longer have that luxury. If they tell the buyer to send the item back by a specific date and the buyer doesn't, we can't do a thing about it. I think it's pitiful. I mean, I'm really bummed out about this. Now, while we're on this subject, as I told you last week, this bad buyer already left me 2 negative feedbacks. One, he didn't even pay for the item, but I got both removed. He filed a return request, failed to send the items back, so I got that case closed in my favor. Do you think he can do anything else to hurt me on eBay? I'm not talking PayPal. I don't doubt that he will hop, skip, and jump down there and open a case with PayPal, but I'm talking eBay. Do you think he can do anything else to hurt me? You would think no, right? Well, let me tell you a related story that happened to me earlier this week, because this boggled my mind and it's going to boggle yours. So pay attention, listen to what I'm saying, and take heed, because this could happen to you. Several weeks ago, I sold a hub to a lady for $21 plus $17 shipping. These figures are important. Listen carefully. $21 for the item, $17 for the shipping. She gets the item and opens a return request. She says it doesn't fit. But she says in the description, in the comments, I tried to put this on my wheel, but it's too big. Now, when she said that, alarm bells went off in my head. I said, I sure hope she didn't try and force this on and break it, because if this comes back to me broken, we're going to have a problem. So I said, I'll wait and see what happens when it comes back. So I guess it was about 2 weeks ago. The date came and she hadn't sent the item back. So I called eBay, they closed out the return, cut and dry, everything's done. Or is it? Turns out everything isn't done. About 5 days after that, she sends the item back to me. I open the box, and as I suspected, it is broken. I don't mean a little broken. I mean, she must have wailed on it with a hammer and broke the plastic clips on the back. They were hanging off, and she just jammed the thing back in the box. There is no way in hell she did not know she broke it. And this kind of thing upsets me because she knew what she did and she still tried sending it back. But anyway, as I said earlier, the case was closed in my favor, so I shouldn't have an issue, right? Wrong. The other day, I get a message from eBay in my messages. It says, "We have made a final determination in the case and we have sided with the buyer. We have deducted $38 from your account." I was like, what case? I don't have any cases open against me. At no point did this woman open a case against me. I was literally in shock. Not only that, instead of giving her back just the $21 for the hub, they were giving her back $17, which was very wrong for the shipping. They should never have done that. eBay made a huge mistake again. I said, here we go again. I took a few minutes to cool off. I called up concierge and I explained what happened. And the nice lady I spoke to looked at the facts of the case and she said, "Joseph, I have worked for customer service for 5 years and I have never, ever seen this happen before. I can clearly see she never sent the item back. And the return was closed in your favor. I have no idea how this happened, but I got to go to my supervisor and we got to straighten this out for you." A couple of minutes later, she comes back and she says, "Joseph, I apologize to you for what happened. We have just credited your account with the $38. This should never have happened. Somebody dropped the ball." I said, "Could you please explain to me what happened? It says a case was opened against me, yet I was never informed of any case. I would have responded to it. And how could she even open a case when the return request was closed in my favor?" I said, "This whole thing makes no sense." I said, "There's too many open loopholes." She then went on to explain what she thought happened, and she talked for about 3 or 4 straight minutes. And by the time she was done talking, all I could think to myself is, what did she just say? As best as I can figure it out, what happened was, after eBay closed the case in my favor, because the customer didn't send the item back, this woman then hastily boxed the item up, ran to the post office a day or 2 later, and sent it out. Then called eBay customer service and probably got somebody overseas who didn't know what they were doing and provided them with a tracking number. And they in turn opened the case and somehow I was never notified. You know, I'm still scratching my head over this one. This goes to show you what it's going to be like after April 1st, when people do not have to send the item back by the time usually required by eBay. Guys, I think it's going to be a free-for-all. I really do. Last night, eBay hosted Upfront in Tampa, Florida. Several of my friends went, and they were doing live Facebook videos, and I was watching some of them. And I would like to have gone, but I just can't keep running to every one of these events because I just have too much to do. I would like to have gone to Florida, especially Florida, because it would have been a great chance for me to see something called the sun. Never mind the fact that it's 30 degrees here and 67 degrees in Florida, but still I would like to have seen the sun. So that being said, guys, I'm going to bring this video to a close now. I'm running super late and I sure hope I can get this uploaded on time. I didn't film part 2 at work because I didn't realize how noisy the second part of part 1 was until I just went to edit the video. It's just unbearable. So anyway, yeah, guys, I'm Crazy New York Driver and you're not. Thanks for watching this video. Each week I come out here and I make these videos to try and help you be successful on eBay. If you think I'm doing a good job, please leave me a thumbs up. It tells me I'm on point and appreciated. If you don't think I did a good job, tell me in the comment section what you want me to hit up next week and I'll be glad to do it. Remember, I'm a seller friend, not a seller critic or skeptic of any kind. I've solved a lot of problems. I'm still making money online. I've never worn a mask, and I never will. I've never distorted my voice because I feel that's unscrupulous, and I feel that's just not the way to be. I feel it's dishonest. Guys, I want you to go out there and I want you to make a ton of money on eBay. Rock on and peace! And yeah, in case I didn't mention it earlier, sales were very strong again this week. I have no complaints whatsoever. Returns, yeah, I had several returns again, but thankfully everybody was honest. I'm not counting that one that broke the hub because she was a return from 2 or 3 weeks ago. I need to hear your thoughts on all the topics presented today. That will be fodder for me for next week's video. As always, I instruct everybody watching this video, don't be fitchy! And how about a drink from the Fox News Cup of Life right now? This will be drink number 2. Very, very good. Very good. I know the video was late today. For those of you guys still watching, thanks for staying with me and watching everything. But I do feel this information is important. I need to get it out there, and I need you guys to understand what's going on in eBay land. And I will see you all right here next week.